Die Hard 2, and yes, I am a little bit late to posting this video. Probably should have posted it a couple days ago, but hey, you know what? House of the Dragon literally comes out next month, and I am trying to finish Game of Thrones really quick here so I can post my review of the whole series and then start talking House of the Dragon next month, which, God, that fucking trailer that they put out for House of the Dragon. That's all I'll say. But yeah, Die Hard 2. To be honest, I've only seen the first Die Hard. I never really saw the sequels. I heard 5 was really bad. And that's about all I've ever heard of the Die Hard sequels. It feels like people don't talk about the Die Hard sequels. And I watched Die Hard 2. And to be honest, I didn't like it. It wasn't a bad movie, but this is a very meh movie. It kind of feels like The Gray Man, which I reviewed recently, where this is a movie that just kind of like does generic action movie plot. And it's not horrible. I think there's two things that elevate this movie in the same way there are a few things that elevate The Gray Man. John McClane is a great character, and no matter what he does in these Die Hard sequels, I feel like is going to be entertaining to watch because, I mean, what I really like is he's a really good police officer character. You know, it feels really nice to watch that because in real life, you know, we have a lot of issues with police, but like you got a character that is kind of the model of what a police officer should be. No matter he will go against, you know, other people who aren't doing their job well enough to protect and help people. He's deeply hurt and upset when other people are in danger or he isn't able to do things well. You know, so it's a really cool character, and he's an everyman. You kind of relate to him. You know, it's just a really great, and it's a great performance by Bruce Willis, always. And so that's just really neat to see that in this movie. But I think where this movie falters, it just feels 90s. Again, it's also just a generic action movie for the most part. It feels very much like a remake of the first movie, but just more. Like, the news reporter character gets a bigger role in this movie. And, like, I didn't mention him in the first review because he doesn't really matter and I don't really care about him. But it was just fine. But in this movie, it's really annoying because he has a stressed out role. The threat of the first movie was terrorists taking over this building. Well, now it's them taking over this airport area, you know. And so it just feels like the first movie, but bigger. And then, you know, and then like the villain of this movie isn't as interesting as Jeremy Irons as Hans Gruber, who's a great villain and has a great dynamic with Bruce Willis in that movie. And you know, so then you just got a very generic action movie. Also, the villain's introduction is weird. So there's like no nudity in this movie except when the main villain is introduced. It's just him like doing some weird form of yoga, like butt naked. It is just weird. It's a weird introduction because you're just watching and going, what the fuck? But, you know, I don't think this is a horrible movie. It's actually very watchable. Like, I wasn't bored watching it. I was just kind of like, whatever, I'm going to forget about this in a day. You know, it's just like, it's one of those movies. Die Hard 2 was just kind of meh. And there's a bunch of little nitpicky things I can nitpick about it, but I don't think it's really justified. I think this movie is just okay. It's not as good as the first movie, but I don't think there's going to be one of these Die Hard sequels that will ever be as good as the first movie, just because, you know, the first movie is one of the greatest action movies and I think just movies of all time, you know, for what it is, you know. And then this is just kind of like a pretty good generic action movie that is watchable and you're probably not going to remember. It's not really worth watching unless you're someone who's like, I want to watch all the Die Hard movies. And you won't hate it. You'll have fun. So that's kind of where I'm at with this movie. But yeah, I'm going to try to get these Die Hard movie reviews every Monday. That's my plan. Hopefully, anyways. So you guys can let me know your thoughts, like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.